Now, I've driven a lot of cars in my time. Some good, some bad, and some that are a bit like Marmite. You either love them or hate them, but there's one car that even a blindfolded orangutan could pick out of a lineup as something truly special. And that, my friends, is the Aston Martin 177. They only built 77 of these beauties, hence the name. It's got a 7.3-litre V12 engine that makes a noise like God gargling with gravel. It's the kind of car that could make a nun trade in her rosary for a racing helmet. But today we're pitting this beast against a different kind of rival. Not some jumped-up hatchback pretending to be a supercar. No, today we're talking about the biggest, baddest observation wheels on the planet. So we're taking the 177 on a virtual tour around the globe to see how it stacks up against these towering titans of tourism. Will speed and style win out? Or will size and stature reign supreme? Let's find out, shall we? First up, we're off to the Lion City, Singapore, home to spicy food, strict laws, and a fascinating blend of cultures. And of course, a giant spinning wheel they call the Flyer. Now, I've always thought Singapore was a bit like a Formula One track, clean, efficient, and a bit too sterile for my liking, but it's undeniably impressive. But this Flyer thing, it's got some impressive stats that are hard to ignore. Standing at a whopping 165 meters tall, this thing's taller than your average giraffe on stilts. Quite the engineering marvel. It boasts 28 capsules, each the size of a double-decker bus, and offers panoramic views of the city-state, a true feast for the eyes. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always found the best way to see a place is at high speed, preferably with a V12 engine screaming in my ear. The thrill is unmatched. But I'll admit there's a certain charm to floating above the city like a helium-filled hippopotamus. It's a unique experience. The Flyer takes about 30 minutes to complete a rotation, which is roughly the same time it takes me to drink a decent cup of tea. Quite relaxing, really. Now, I'm not saying the view is boring, but I reckon you could get just as good a look from a helicopter. Maybe even better. Still, points for effort, Singapore. The Flyer is a commendable attraction. But let's be honest, this isn't a contest of height or observation decks. It's about the experience. This is about the thrill of the ride, the feeling of freedom, the sheer audacity of strapping yourself into a machine designed to make you go, woo! It's exhilarating. And on that front, the 177, with its 200 mph top speed and ability to corner like a cheetah on roller skates, well, it's in a different league altogether, simply unmatched. Don't get me wrong, the Singapore Flyer's a fine piece of engineering, truly a marvel. But compared to the visceral thrill of driving the 177, it's like comparing a warm glass of milk to a triple-shot espresso. The difference is night and day. Right, from the sterile streets of Singapore, we're off to Sin City, Las Vegas, baby, home of gambling, gargantuan buffets, and a wheel that makes the London Eye look like a kid's toy. Buckle up, because this is the High Roller. Now, this thing is a monster. Standing at a dizzying 550 feet tall, it's the tallest observation wheel in the world. That's taller than the Statue of Liberty, taller than Big Ben, even taller than Simon Cowell's ego. The High Roller boasts 28 spacious cabins, each able to hold up to 40 people. You could fit a whole stag do in one of these things, though, knowing my luck, we'd probably end up stuck at the top for hours. Now, I'm not one for crowds, but I have to admit, the view from up here is pretty spectacular. You can see the entire Las Vegas Strip, all lit up like a Christmas tree that's been dipped in glitter and had a few too many cocktails. But here's the thing, while the High Roller might be big, bold and brash, it's also about as exciting as a game of bingo with your grandma. It takes a whole 30 minutes to make a full rotation. Meanwhile, the 177 could have you tearing across the Nevada desert, leaving a trail of dust and bewildered rattlesnakes in its wake. You could be cruising down the Las Vegas Strip, turning heads and causing traffic jams just by existing. Look, I get it. The High Roller is iconic. It's Vegas, but it's also about as subtle as a poker player with a royal flush and a megaphone. Sometimes you want the thrill of the open road, the wind in your hair, the feeling that you could outrun the setting sun. So, while the High Roller might have won the size battle when it comes to sheer excitement, the 177 is still the king of the road. After all, size isn't everything. It's the thrill that counts. Right, after the bright lights and questionable fashion choices of Las Vegas, we find ourselves in Nanchang, China, home to the Star of Nanchang, one of the tallest Ferris wheels in the world. Now, I'll be honest, I'd never heard of Nanchang before we started this little adventure, but apparently it's famous for porcelain and, well, this massive Ferris wheel that dominates the skyline. Now, this thing is a bit of a looker, I'll give it that. It's quite the sight, especially when the sun hits it just right. It's got this rather fetching lattice-like structure, kind of like a giant spider web made out of steel, intricate and mesmerizing. And at 160 meters tall, it's not exactly shy and retiring either. It stands tall and proud, a true landmark. The Star of Nanchang boasts 60 air-conditioned gondolas, each able to hold up to 8 people, offering a comfortable ride. That's a lot of gondolas, ensuring that many can enjoy the view at once. But here's the thing. While the Star of Nanchang might be big and impressive, it's also about as thrilling as watching paint dry. The pace is incredibly slow. It takes a leisurely 30 minutes to complete a full rotation, which can feel like an eternity. Meanwhile, the 177 could have you hurtling along the winding mountain roads of Jiangxi province, leaving a trail of astonished water buffalo in your wake, a true adrenaline rush. You could be exploring ancient temples, sampling exotic delicacies, and generally living your best life, embracing the culture and history. Look, I'm all for experiencing different cultures, but I draw the line at spending half an hour slowly rotating in a giant metal hamster wheel. It's just not my idea of fun. I'd rather be out there, exploring the world, feeling the wind in my hair, and generally making the most of the precious time we have on this planet. Adventure awaits. So, while the Star of Nanchang might be a star attraction in its own right, when it comes to sheer excitement and the freedom to explore, the 177 still reigns supreme. It's all about the thrill. After all, life's too short to be stuck in a rut. Even if that rut happens to be suspended 160 meters in the air, let's make every moment count. Well, we've seen some big wheels so far, haven't we? But nothing quite prepares you for the sheer jaw-dropping scale of Ain Dubai. This thing makes the other contenders look like those little plastic Ferris wheels you win at a carnival. This, my friends, is in a league of its own. We're talking a staggering 250 meters high. That's roughly the same height as 2.5 Big Bens stacked on top of each other, or for you Americans out there, just shy of the Empire State Building. It's so big you can practically see Saudi Arabia from the top. And the cabins, forget your pokey little pods. These are bloody luxury lounges, each holding up to 48 people. You could host a decent-sized wedding reception in one of these things and probably have enough room left over for a bouncy castle. But here's the kicker. A full rotation takes a whopping 38 minutes. Don't get me wrong, the view is spectacular. You've got the Burj Khalifa, the Palm Jumeirah, the whole glittering expanse of Dubai laid out before you like a billionaire's playground. But while you're up there, slowly sipping your overpriced champagne, I'd be out on the open road, the 177 roaring like a provoked dragon beneath me. Imagine carving through the desert dunes, the sun beating down, the sand whipping past like golden snow. That's freedom. That's exhilaration. That's something they can't replicate in a glorified glass ball. Look, Ain Dubai is impressive, I'll grant you that. It's a testament to human ambition, to our relentless pursuit of bigger, taller, more outlandish feats of engineering. But give me the sleek lines, the raw power, the unadulterated thrill of the Aston Martin 177 any day. And for our final contender, we travel across the pond to the land of opportunity. The Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, New York City. Or at least that was the plan. You see, the New York Wheel, this supposed behemoth of the Big Apple, well, it never quite got off the ground, did it? It was supposed to be a marvel of modern engineering, a 630-foot-tall testament to American ingenuity. They were going to have these fancy, high-tech capsules, interactive exhibits, the whole shebang. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. Construction delays, financial woes, and more drama than a season of Real Housewives later, the project was scrapped. All that's left are a few rusty girders and a whole lot of disappointed tourists. Meanwhile, the 177, a masterpiece of British engineering, stands as a testament to what can be achieved when you combine passion, precision, and a healthy disregard for the impossible. It might not be as big as the New York Wheel was supposed to be, but it's real, it's tangible. And it offers a thrill that no static structure could ever hope to match. So, while the New York Wheel might have become a cautionary tale about the perils of overreaching ambition, the 177 remains a shining example of what happens when you dare to dream big and back it up with good old-fashioned